Hello students, I'm Julie and I'm here with Kirsten at the Visitor Center at the Santa Lucia Conservancy. And today we're going to bring our bird class to you since you could not come to us.
Come with me, we're going to take a nature walk.
Here's Kirsten, we're heading down the trail. You can see all the spring growth. Here are the birds. What is something special that birds have that we don't have? They all have a beak. This is the skull of a great horned owl. The great horned owl is one of our large birds, and you can see the head does not look very big. But the two things that might seem odd to you are the huge eyes, as big as our eye in a small skull, and a pretty substantial beak with a sharp point on the end. So what is a beak good for? Let's see. If you guys were here, I would be asking you this. So I'm going to have to read your minds because I'm sure you're thinking this at home. They use it to eat, just like we use our mouth to eat. They use it to make a nest. We don't make nests, and they don't have something that we do. We have hands that we use to do most things. They do not have hands, so their beak is really a tool. They make nests with it, they protect themselves, they sing just like we talk. And it is not just a mouth. See these little holes right here? It is also their nose. I'm going to show you one more beak. Every bird has a different kind of beak depending on what it eats, what kind of habitat it lives in. This is a seabird. I'm not going to tell you what it is, I'm going to give you some clues. This is a very large ocean bird, and this is missing a sac that would be hanging down below. Have you ever been to the beach and seen a great big bird diving straight down into the water and scooping up fish? And I know you're thinking in your head, and you might say it out loud, it is a pelican. So there are birds all over the world, and they're all a little different from each other, depending again on what they eat and where they live. These are some pretty crazy beaks. We have some of these birds here. This is a bird that lives here. It's called a curlew. This is a seed-eating beak. Seeds are very hard, so depending on what you eat. Look at this bird right here. It's a great blue heron. We have those here. And this is kind of a stabbing, picking up little things off the ground. But you want to stab it first. Beak. How about a crow? We have crows here. That's a pretty sturdy beak to eat all different kinds of food. So beaks are... I feel so lucky. Listen to the sound of a spotted Tully. It's in the bush. It's black on the top with a white chest and a reddish wings. And if we were able to get really close, we could see that it has red eyes. When we're all done today, if you could look it up in a book. They're very hard to see because they hide in the low bushes. But look online or look in a bird book and see if you can find out what a spotted towhee looks like. We have another body part. This is another something from a big bird. This is a wing. And where would it be if you were a bird? Would it be up here? Is this where your wing goes? How about here? Does this look better? So it's kind of where our shoulder is. Remember, there's no arm on a bird. And it is made of feathers. Feathers are extremely light. I can barely tell I am holding this wing. And the colors are on the feathers, and that's one of the ways we know what kind of bird it is. Feathers are super cool. That's something super unique about birds. No other living thing has feathers. Well, what are feathers good for? They keep them warm. And the ones that especially keep them warm are the fuzzy, soft feathers on the closest to their body called their downy feathers. You might even have a down jacket. Also, they protect their body, the feathers. They have three kinds of feathers. The downy ones, the ones that cover them and give them color, the contour feathers, and the stiff ones that holds them up in the sky so they can soar. Feathers. How many feathers do you think a bird has? Well, somebody got to count. That would be a fun job. Our tiniest bird, the hummingbird, has about 1,000 feathers, and they're only about this big. So think about that, 1,000 feathers. But again, they have all three kinds. One of our biggest birds that lives somewhere very cold is a tundra swan, and they have about 25,000 feathers. Here's a little picture that shows what tails are good for. Like airplanes have tails. Tails are for turning. So when a bird wants to turn, they're going to tip. They can actually move it. Their tail feathers, they twist it so they can turn. If they want to go very fast, they pull their feathers in very tight so it makes them more streamlined so they can dive. If they want to stay up in the sky and not even flap their wings, you've probably seen that with a hawk before. They make their feathers go out so they can actually control their feathers. And here is the tail of the red-shouldered hawk that I showed you before. Right now it's in a very streamlined diving position, but they're able to move their feathers in or out. So that would be a soaring position, and then they would twist if they wanted to turn. I'm pretty sure that most of you, maybe all of you, can tell me whose tail this is. If you said a wild turkey, then you are correct. You might be seeing wild turkeys now. This is the time of year when they're coming around where we see them. The boy turkey is the one that has the big, beautiful tail, and they have it to show off for the girl turkeys. Girls don't get this pretty tail. And again, it has the soft, downy feathers to keep them warm. They have the contour feathers to protect them, their skin, and their flight feathers. So look who hangs out in Potrero Canyon when we're not here. I surprised a nice little group of wild turkeys. They don't want to be around me, so off they go. We have these pretty cool replicas or copies, the exact size and exactly what the feet look like of different kinds of birds. Big birds have big feet, and this is the foot of a great blue heron. We looked at a picture of the beak a few minutes ago. It's a very tall bird. You might have seen they do live here. Birds are very, very light because their bones are hollow, and they can even stand on top of seaweed. And that'd be cool if we could do that. So this is almost like a snowshoe if we had snow. It holds them up on loose things like mud. Did anyone ever put fins on your foot when you're swimming in a swimming pool? So whose foot would you think this would belong to? If you said a duck, you're absolutely right. This is a webbed foot, a duck foot for paddling. They don't need a foot for standing on seaweed. They're living in the water. And then we have a hunting bird's foot. This is a replica of a great horned owl. We looked at the skull of the great horned owl a minute ago. So this is the foot that goes with that skull. And they have to have very sharp, they're called talons, very sharp ends to their toes and strong muscles because they eat live food, animals, and they have to be able to pick them up and carry them away. One more foot that's smaller than all the rest, so we know this is from a smaller bird, is a woodpecker foot. And you might notice there's 2 toes that go forward and 2 toes that go back, versus every other foot we showed you before had 3 toes that go out. That's more of a perching foot or a paddling foot or a grasping foot. This is a climbing a tree foot. Even in this picture, you can see that the woodpecker, in order to hang on tight enough, has got to have a good grip, both in front and in back of its body. And they have to hold on really tight so that they can peck. So all these special things we've showed you about birds that are different from us, we could lump them all together into one word that you've probably heard. That word is adaptation. Oh my gosh, I feel so lucky. There's a tiny little yellow bird, really small. I hope you can look at this on something that you can see, the bright yellow bird. Did you see him put his head up and sing? He's making that really, really loud, long song. He's called a Wilson's Warbler. He has a little black cap on his head. If you can, look it up on the internet, and you can look at and see what he looks up close, and maybe even play the sound that he makes. This is one of our spring migrants, meaning he's come back from far away. Now it's time for him to find a mate and build a nest. Well, here's a bird that I heard before I saw. I don't know if you can see the movement. Listen to the sound. Kind of a quiet chirp, chirp. I see a blue head with a gray stripe. I don't know if you can see it. Look carefully. It's right in the middle of the picture. That is a scrub jay. And usually they make very loud noises. He's making very quiet noises. Kind of curious about what he or she is. Oh, it just jumped over to another bush, so now we can see it better. There's our scrub jay, sometimes called the policeman of the forest, because they make a very loud caw-caw sound that can warn all the creatures of the forest that there's danger. Did you notice when he jumped from one branch to another, there was a big poof of pollen? That's the pollen of the oak tree. That's how it makes seeds, and we all know that the seed, well, you tell me, what is the seed of an oak tree? We see it in the fall. It has a cap and a sharp point, and it's heavy. Hello, little scrub jay. You look pretty happy there.